Chapter 1, The Discovery. The morning sun filtered through faded curtains as Karen navigated the cluttered living room, balancing a laundry basket against her hip while stepping over Jake's scattered sneakers. Their modest apartment hummed with familiar Sunday sounds, the coffee maker's gurgle, distant traffic, and Karen's soft humming as she tidied. Jake had been withdrawn lately, spending more time alone in his room. Karen attributed it to typical preteen moodiness, but worry gnawed at her edges. She'd noticed his appetite waning, how he'd pick at her homemade lasagna before retreating to his room with murmured excuses about homework. Setting the basket down, Karen noticed Jake's backpack gaping open on the kitchen table, unusual for her meticulously organized son. As she moved to zip it closed, something caught her eye. A worn notebook tucked beneath his math textbook, its cover decorated with faded superhero stickers. Her hand hovered. Karen's conscience pricked. She'd never violated Jake's privacy before. But recent weeks had left her desperate to understand the shadow that seemed to follow her bright-eyed boy. "Just one page," she whispered, glancing at the clock. Jake wouldn't return from his friend's house for hours. The notebook felt heavy with secrets as she opened to the final entry, Jake's careful handwriting sprawling across the page. Her coffee grew cold as she read, each word a hammer blow to her chest. The entry ended with tomorrow's date and a simple declaration that made her blood run cold. Karen's phone slipped from her trembling fingers, clattering on linoleum. Outside, storm clouds gathered, turning morning to premature dusk. She needed to get to Jake, now, but school wouldn't release him for another 3 hours. As she reached for her car keys, a strange detail from the diary entry surfaced in her memory, making her freeze. Jake had written about his father picking him up at dawn, but the handwriting describing this moment looked different somehow. Older, more hurried, as if written by someone else entirely. The hallway smelled of bleach and cafeteria grease, the custodian's radio crackling somewhere behind the lockers. Karen's sneakers squeaked as she broke into a jog, the diary clenched so tightly against her ribs that the wire spiral dented her sweater. Her breath sawed in short, metallic bursts. Each inhale tasted like the inside of a coin jar. She burst through the double doors into the main office, slapped the attendance ledger with a palm that left a half-moon sweat print, and forced the words out. "Jacob Miller, did he check in?" The secretary's glasses slid to the tip of her nose. "Jacob's marked absent since roll call." She typed, frowned, typed again. Actually, his father phoned at 6:30, said there was a family emergency. Karen's knees unlocked, gravity doubled. She caught herself on the counter, knuckles whitening, veins rising like blue lightning. A high-pitched ringing started behind her eardrums, the same frequency that used to fill the house the nights her ex-husband came home drunk. She felt her chin twitch, a tiny, uncontrollable hammering. Then her whole left arm began to tremble as though the bones inside were tuning forks. The security monitor flickered to life at the secretary's prompt. Grainy footage. Dawn, a silver pickup idling by the bike rack, exhaust ghosting in the cold. Jake appeared, backpack dragging, hood up. A man too tall, too sure, stepped out, wrapped an arm thick as a rope around the boy's shoulders, guided him into the cab. Jake never looked back. The truck rolled away, taillights winking like twin embers. Karen's throat closed. She heard a rasping sound and realized it was her own voice trying to scream through a blocked airway. She staggered backward, diary slipping, pages fluttering like a wounded bird until it smacked the tile. The fluorescent lights above strobed, or maybe her vision did. The room narrowed to a telescope circle centered on that red pickup shrinking into pixelated nothing. She clawed her phone free, thumb shaking so violently she dialed twice. Social media app, red record button. "My son was taken this morning," she began, the camera catching the tear that dove from her lash to her chin like a suicide jumper. She uploaded, tagged every local group, then sprinted for the parking lot, tires screaming against curb stone. Somewhere 3 counties away, strangers began sharing the video, and a waitress on Interstate 9 spotted a silver truck with a boy curled against the passenger door. But Karen didn't know that yet, only that every second throbbed like a countdown, and the next mile might already be 1 mile too late. Chapter 5: The Viral Echo. Karen's phone vibrates non-stop against the dashboard, each ping a tremor in the glass. The charge hovers at 7%. The screen keeps refreshing a map she can't pause to read. She has driven past 3 exits already, following a rumor that the silver truck stopped for gas beside a boarded-up church. The attendant remembers the plate partial, but enough. Yet the security camera was dead, so the trail feels like chasing smoke. Inside the diary, still buckled beside her like a second passenger, Jake's handwriting jitters. Mom says Dad hurt us, but I never saw blood, only slammed doors. Karen's throat knots. She realizes every short sentence is a breadcrumb she once swept away, believing silence was shelter. Now each syllable bruises. The windshield fogs with her breathing. She swipes it clear, sees her own reflection, eyes ringed red, hair escaping its knot, and understands she has become the very ghost story Jake must have told himself. The parent who erased half his life to keep him safe. Her livestream replay autoplays on the locked screen. She hears her own cracking voice beg the internet to look for the boy who thinks running is rescue. Comments spiral beneath, some praying, some accusing, some tagging brothers, cousins, ex-husbands, until the feed feels bigger than the night itself. A new notification slides across the top. Possible sighting, Petro stop, mile 212. A user posted a grainy still. Jake's profile silhouetted against vending machine neon, backpack straps cutting into his small shoulders. His father stands behind him, hand resting on the nape of Jake's neck, ownership disguised as affection. The timestamp reads 19 minutes ago. Karen's pulse syncs with the engine. She floors the pedal, tires humming like a hive. She rehearses what she will say if she reaches them first. The apology, the withheld truth about court papers, the photo of the bruise she hid from him because it looked too much like a shadow. She imagines Jake's face toggling between trust and betrayal, and wonders which emotion will win. Rain starts, thin needles that smear the headlights into comets. Through the static of wipers, she sees the distant glow of the Petro stop sign, a red cross bleeding into the dark. She jerks the wheel toward the exit, heart slamming, phone now at 4%, the world watching, and realizes she still hasn't decided whether to whisper the secret that could save him, or scream it loud enough to break him. The parking lot sodium lights buzz like hornets overhead, throwing everything into bruised color. Karen's shoes slap puddles across the cracked asphalt, diary clenched under her arm like a shield. Strangers' phones already glow, live streaming the standoff before she even rounds the final row of trucks. She spots them. Jake pressed against his father's rust-red pickup, backpack half-zipped, eyes darting between her and the man whose knuckles once split her lip. Richard leans on the open driver door, smirking at the gathering crowd. Come to make another scene, Karen. His voice is soft enough that only the nearest lenses catch it, but the menace leaks through like diesel fumes. Karen's throat burns. She raises the diary. He read the wrong story, Richard. Let me give him the rest. Jake flinches, fingers tightening around the strap that crosses his thin chest. You lied, he whispers, but the tremor in his tone betrays doubt. A notification chimes. 2 million viewers now, hearts ticking upward like a Geiger counter. Comments scroll faster than thought. Call the COPS, grab the kid, tell HIM what daddy did. Karen steps closer. The smell of wet gravel and cheap gasoline coats her tongue. Sweetheart turned to the page before the last, she says, voice cracking. The one dated the night of the thunderstorm. You drew the scar on my collarbone. Remember asking how I got it. Richard's hand drops to Jake's shoulder, squeezing until the boy winces. Don't listen, champ. She's twisting it, same as always. But Corinne's thumb finds the entry through the plastic sleeve, the ink still ridged where Jake pressed too hard. She reads aloud, third person steady, as though narrating someone else's horror. Dad shoved Mom against the banister. The wood cracked. She didn't cry, so I cried for her. Gasps ripple through the semicircle of strangers. Phone screens tilt, hungry for focus. Richard's smirk falters. Kid S got an imagination, he mutters, yet the truck keys jangle as his hand shakes. Corinne lowers the book, eyes locked on Jake. Running won't rewrite what you saw. Stay and we'll write the truth together. Behind her, sirens finally Doppler closer, but the distance feels infinite. Richard yanks the door wider, urging Jake inside. The boy's sneakers scrape wet gravel, half in, half out, loyalty and fear splitting him like frayed rope. Corinne lifts her phone, thumb hovering over the live button that will either expose the monster or brand her son forever. The parking lot sodium lights buzz overhead, tinting every face the color of old brews. Strangers' phones already glow, streaming the confrontation to thousands who have followed the hashtag #FindJake. Corinne's own screen trembles in her grip, the red live indicator waiting. One tap and Richard's secret screams across the planet. She can almost see the headline scroll, "Abusive father took my son," yet the word hangs in her throat like a fishhook. Richard senses the hesitation. His grin is all teeth, no warmth. Go on, Corinne, he dares, voice slick as crankcase oil. Tell the world how crazy you are. Kid wants a life, not your fairy tales. Jake flinches at the insult, eyes ping-ponging between parents. The diary peeks from Corinne's coat pocket, its bent corner brushing her wrist, a pulse of paper pleading to be believed. She remembers the final line Jake wrote, "Mom lied about the bruises," and nausea sloshes through her. If she airs the truth now, the boy she sheltered will hear strangers call his hero a monster. If she stays silent, the truck door will slam and her child will vanish into the same darkness she once fled. Sirens crest the boulevard, strobing red-blue across windshields, but the cruisers stall at the lot entrance, blocked by a semicircle of parked pickups that arrived with Richard. Minutes, she estimates. Maybe seconds. Richard leans closer, breath sour with coffee and menace. Last chance, care. Walk away or I sue you for defamation, parental alienation, whole 9 yards. Court always sides with dads who reform. His hand clamps Jake's shoulder. The boy winces, memory or premonition, impossible to tell. Corinne's thumb twitches. The live button slides under it like the safety on a firearm. She pictures the video she could post later. Photos of her own fractured collarbone, the police report she never showed Jake, the therapist's note diagnosing pediatric anxiety the year they escaped. Evidence, clinical and cold, strong enough to drown Richard's smirk, yet also strong enough to drown her son's innocence. Jake's voice cracks the stalemate. Mom, it is one syllable, but it contains every bedtime story, every scraped knee bandage, every night she sat outside his bedroom door humming until the nightmares retreated. The diary entry called her a liar, yet the way he says her name now is a question, not an accusation. He is asking who to trust, and the clock is ticking. Richard feels the shift, yanks Jake backward. Tires chirp as the truck's engine growls alive, diesel fumes fogging the chill. Corinne's live screen blurs with tears, comments rocket upward, "Do it, Corinne." Explode him, a digital mob baying for blood she isn't sure she can spill. She lowers the phone an inch, breathing through her teeth. Jake, she says, steady as she can, I kept the medical records. Police calls. Everything. She taps the pocket that holds the diary. Truth fits on one page, but the whole story fills a box under my bed. Come home and we open it together. Or leave and the world opens it for you. The sirens double closer now, headlights sweeping the aisle. Richard's jaw tightens, his fingers dig into Jake's collar. The boy's gaze locks on Corinne, wide, shimmering, 12 years of childhood compressed into a heartbeat. Her thumb lifts off the button, still not live, but she angles the camera just enough to keep Richard in frame, silent insurance. One squeeze and the fuse ignites. Choose, she whispers, but choose fast. Jake's sneaker slides half an inch toward her. Richard's knuckles blanch around Jake's backpack strap. The boy teeters between two worlds, asphalt heat seeping through the soles of his worn sneakers. Corinne's phone trembles, its dark lens reflecting the bruise-yellow sunrise behind the discount store skyline. No live red light, yet, but the recording bar ticks steady, an invisible jury watching. She speaks low, measured, every syllable carved from 12 years of swallowed terror. Tell him what you did the night of the fireworks, Richard. Tell him why we left at 3 a.m. with nothing but a diaper bag and a split lip. Richard's jaw slides sideways, chewing on options as sour as old coffee. His truck idles 2 spaces away, tailpipe coughing carbon promises of interstate escape. He jerks Jake a fraction closer. The boy whimpers like a stepped-on puppy. Your mom's confused, sport. She's tired. We just wanna go fishing, right? Corinne steps sideways, blocking the open driver door. Her thumb hovers again. One swipe upward and the world will inhale the footage, courts and cousins and caseworkers all. She smells her own fear, metallic, but the diary pages wedged in her coat pocket crackle louder, paper gavel calling for justice. Jake's eyes flick from parent to parent, arithmetic of loyalty scribbling across his face. He remembers the diary's last line. Dad says Mom made everything up. But he also remembers the lullaby she hummed during thunderstorms, the blanket sewn from his baby clothes. The equation wobbles. Richard senses hesitation, lowers his voice to a daddy growl. Get in the truck, Jake. We'll talk later. Corinne counters, softer still. Stay and we'll talk now. No more secrets. The parking lot holds its breath. Even gulls circling the dumpster mute their cries. Jake lifts a hand, fingers twitching toward each adult, pendulum heart ready to slice time in half. His mouth opens, but before sound escapes, Richard's free hand dives into the cab and claws for the gearshift.